Hello everyone, my name is Michelle, and today we're going to be talking about dividing trinomials by binomials using long division and synthetic division. So really quick before we begin, what is a polynomial? And from that, what is a trinomial and what is a binomial? So a polynomial is an expression that has more than one term, where every term is k times x to the nth power, where k is any number and n is a positive integer. So some examples of a polynomial would be binomials and trinomials. A binomial is a polynomial with two terms, and a trinomial is a polynomial with three terms. And some examples of a binomial would be something like x minus 4 or 3x plus 2. An example of a trinomial would be 4x squared plus 2x minus 3. And you might recognize that as a quadratic. So just to sum it up, binomials and trinomials are types of polynomials, and a polynomial is an expression where every term is k times x to the n power, and k is any number while n is a positive integer. So today we have two examples, and every example I'm going to solve it using long division and synthetic division. So first we have 9x squared plus 6x minus 3 divided by x plus 2. I want to solve that using long division. So the way we do long division is a lot like how we do normal division. We're going to start with this bracket, and we put the dividend inside. So we have 9x squared plus 6x minus 3, and we put the divisor outside, and our divisor is x plus 2. So right now we're going to focus on the first term of the dividend, which is 9x squared, and we're also going to focus on the first term of the divisor, which is x. So what we're going to do is 9x squared divided by x, and that will equal our first term in our quotient. So what is 9x squared divided by x? Well, that's just 9x. So now that we have the first term of our quotient, we take this first term and we multiply it by the divisor. So we're going to do 9x times x, which is 9x squared, and then 9x times positive 2, which is positive 18x. And then we take that and we're going to subtract it. You might recognize this from normal division. So we're now just going to subtract, and what's going to happen is 9x squared minus 9x squared, well, that's just 0. And then we do 6x minus 18x. Don't forget the minus, which is negative 12x. So then we are going to repeat that process until what we have here in orange, the power is less than the power of the dividend. So what does that mean? So our dividend, we have an x, and we know that x is the same as x to the first power. So if that's x to the first power, we will stop dividing when what we have here is x to the 0, because that's 1 below, and x to the 0 is the constant. So now we're going to do the same thing we did with 9x squared. We're going to take this negative 12x, we're going to divide it by x. Negative 12x divided by x is just negative 12. And then we take that negative 12 and multiply it by the divisor. So we do negative 12 times x, which is negative 12x. And then negative 12 times positive 2, which is negative 24. And we're going to take all of that and subtract it. So we're going to see the same thing that happened before. We're going to do negative 12x plus 12x. And that's going to cancel out and get us 0. And then we're going to bring this here, negative 3. We're going to bring that down. And we're going to do negative 3 plus 24, which is positive 21. Now, remember what I said earlier about we're going to divide until our power is 1 lower than the power of the divisor. And the power of our divisor is x to the first power. So we're going to stop dividing once we get to x to the 0th power, which is a constant. And notice that we have gotten a constant, right here, the 21. So we're going to stop dividing. So when we look up to where our quotient is, well, we think, oh, our quotient has to be 9x minus 12. But it's actually not, because we have a remainder. This 21 is the remainder. So there's two things you could do with the remainder. It kind of just depends on what your teacher is asking for. Well, this is not the incorrect way, but I think it's not preferred, is you could just write at the end of your quotient, remainder 21. You could do that. But I think the more correct way, and the way that most your teachers will accept, is if you take the remainder and you put it over the divisor. So this part in blue, that it still means the same thing, that the remainder is 21, but it's just a better way to write it. So now that we put our remainder in, we have our final quotient, 9x squared plus 6x minus 3 divided by x plus 2 equals 9x minus 12 plus 21 over x plus 2. Now let's do the same problem using synthetic division. So synthetic division is quite different from long division. You're most likely going to learn long division before you learn synthetic division, because a lot of people consider it kind of cheating or a shortcut. So we're going to start synthetic division by making this little box thing. Make sure to leave a lot of space right here. You're going to need a lot of space. And what we're going to do is inside the box we're going to write the coefficients of our dividend. So if our dividend is 9x squared plus 6x minus 3, we're going to write the coefficients 9, 6, and negative 3. And remember to leave space down here, you'll need it. And on the outside of the box, we're going to write our divisor, solve for x. So how do we solve for x? Well, we take our divisor, x plus 2, set it equal to 0, and then we solve it algebraically. So in this case, we're going to subtract negative 2 from both sides, and that will get us x equals negative 2. So we're going to take that negative 2 and put that on the outside of our box. So the first step of synthetic division is we're going to bring down the first coefficient of our dividend. So in this case it is 9. We're going to bring that down outside the box, 9. Next step is we're going to multiply this 9 by our divisor equals 0. So that's negative 2. We're going to multiply that by negative 2. And well, 9 times negative 2 is negative 18. So then we bring that negative 18 under our second term. So under the 6. So negative 18. And then we are going to add the 6 and the negative 18. Well, adding a negative is the same as subtracting. So we're going to do 6 minus 18, which will get us negative 12. Now we're just going to rinse and repeat. So we're going to take this negative 12, multiply it by negative 2, just like we did with the 9. So negative 12 times negative 2 is positive 24. So we're going to put that positive 24 under our next term, which is negative 3. So positive 24. And then we are going to add negative 3 and positive 24. And it'll get us 21. And so our quotient is going to be the numbers under the box, but we're not done yet. You may notice that we're missing the x's. We need x's for this to be considered a polynomial. So the way we determine which power of x we should start with is we take the power one lower than the power of the dividend. So our dividend is this one, and the highest power in our dividend is 2, x squared. So we're going to take one lower, so it's going to be x to the first power. So we go back to our quotient and we put in the x's. We start with x to the first power, and then we go in descending order. So the next one will be x to the 0th power. And we stop there because polynomials cannot have negative powers. So really quick, let's clean that up. X to the first power is the same as just x, so just write that as just x, minus 12. X to the 0th power is the same as 1, so that would just be negative 12 times 1, which is just negative 12. We don't need to write the x to the 0th power. And we are left with positive 21, but since positive 21 doesn't have an x, it is our remainder. So oftentimes in synthetic division, if the last term of your quotient is not 0, then you have a remainder. That's your remainder. So we're going to write it the same way as we did before, 21 over the divisor, which is x plus 2. And that is our final answer. And you might notice that that is the exact same answer we got when we did long division. So the method you use to divide doesn't matter, they both work. Alright, so we are going to do another example, and I recommend you pause here and try this one out yourself, dividing using long division. Okay, so we are going to do 2x squared minus 4x plus 9 divided by x plus 8. So we're going to start with our bracket, put our dividend inside, put our divisor outside, x plus 8, and then we are going to divide our first term of the dividend by the first term of the divisor. So 2x squared divided by x, which equals 2x. Then we're going to take that 2x and multiply it by x plus 8. You're going to get 2x squared plus 16x. Remember that we are dividing, so put bracket minus. And we're going to subtract 2x squared minus 2x squared. That's just 0. And then negative 4x minus 16x is negative 20x. Now we're going to repeat the process. We're going to take negative 20x divided by x. We get negative 20. And then we take the negative 20, multiply it by the divisor, x plus 8. And we're going to get negative 20 times x, which is negative 20x. And negative 20 times positive 8, which is negative 160. Don't forget to bring the 9 down. And also don't forget to subtract. So negative 20x minus negative 20x. So that's the same as negative 20x plus 20x. So that's just 0. And 9 minus negative 160, which is the same as 9 plus 160, is positive 169. So we are going to stop dividing there because we have a constant, which means that the power is x to the 0th power, which is 1 below the power of our divisor. So we take our remainder, we bring it up to where the quotient is, and we put it over the divisor, which is x plus 8. And that is our final answer. 2x squared minus 4x plus 9 divided by x plus 8 equals 2x minus 20 plus 169 divided by x plus 8. Now we are going to do the same problem using synthetic division. I recommend you pause the video here and try it out yourself. Alright, so first we're going to draw our box. Remember to leave some space inside of it. On the inside we're going to put the coefficients of our dividend. So 2, negative 4, positive 9. So on the outside we're going to put our divisor solve for x. So our divisor is x plus 8. The way we solve for x is we set it equal to 0, subtract 8 on both sides, and we get x equals negative 8. So negative 8 is going to go on the outside of our box. First step, we take the 2 down, and then we are going to multiply the 2 by negative 8. That gives us negative 16, and we put the negative 16 below the 4. Then we add negative 4 and negative 16. Adding a negative is the same as subtracting, so it's actually negative 4 minus 16, which is negative 20. Then we take the negative 20 and we multiply it by negative 8, which is positive 160. We put that positive 160 under the 9. And then we do 9 plus 160, which equals 169. We're not done yet. We still have to put our x's. So our first term is going to be x to the first power because that's 1 below the power of the dividend, which is right here. And then we're going to go in descending order. So negative 20 is going to be x to the 0th power. And we're going to stop there because we know that 169 is a remainder. So really quick, we're going to simplify it. We don't need to write the 1 in x to the first power, so we're just going to write 2x minus 20. X to the 0th power is the same as 1. 1 times negative 20 is negative 20. We don't need to write the x to the 0th power. And finally, we have our remainder, 169, and we're going to write our remainder as over our divisor, x plus 8. And that is our final answer. Again, notice that when we did the same problem using long and synthetic division, our quotients were the same. So it doesn't matter which type of division you decide to use. Alright, so that's all I have for this lesson. I hope you learned something today and have a wonderful day.